All right, so this is the last section of the introduction to the Unreal Engine UI, and we need to talk about the different modes that you're going to be working with in Unreal Engine. So by default, and 90% of the time, unless you're a specialist in a special field, you're likely going to be working in the selection mode. Now the selection mode is basically giving you the ability to select things so you can move them around, you can scale them and all that. But there's a bunch of different other modes under this drop down menu here that will allow you to do different things. So for example, foliage is one of the most popular ones that people love, and the reason why is because it allows you to paint objects inside your scene. So in our foliage mode over here, we can see here that it kind of gave us a new window, and we have the ability to start painting assets into our scene. So for example, we're going to go to that banana that we imported in the last video and drop this into the foliage type. And now if I go ahead and select paint, where's my paintbrush? I held right click and moved my camera around and brought my paintbrush over here. And for some reason, it's not letting me paint on the floor. And we'll get to that in just a second. But if I go ahead and use the left bracket on my keyboard and make the brush smaller and I start painting, we can see here that it's going to compile shaders. And then we're going to start kind of painting on this cube. Now, it's not giving me a ton of painting, so I can go ahead and increase the density, and that should help me paint a little bit more. What I will do is go to the actual foliage object and increase the density to, like, I don't know, 5,000. And now, hey, look, lots of bananas. Now, the reason why this is important is under different modes, you won't have access to certain things. So, for example, if I go to if I want to select my floor here, I can't. It's not letting me do that. So first things first, because it's flickering, I'm going to go ahead and go to the eyeball and turn off my grid so I don't see that anymore. But I can't select this floor anymore because I'm in my foliage mode. So let's go back to my selection mode. And I'm assuming that the reason why this floor can't be painted on is there's no collision. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my physics tab and then go ahead and turn on, let's see, default. So under default, that should fix it. So then if I go back to my foliage mode, there we go. So now I can start painting bananas everywhere. And now I have just a big pile of bananas. So for you to paint with foliage, you do need to have collision on for objects. So there's a little gotcha for Unreal. But with the foliage mode, you can go ahead and paint. You can go ahead and remove. You can go ahead and erase stuff, like so. So let's say I don't want any more of these bananas, and now we have no more foliage bananas, which is awesome. Now, let's say we wanted to do something else, like modeling. So you would go to the modeling tab, and we can go ahead and start adding objects to our scene that are custom for our own stuff. Now, I will say straight up, the modeling tools in Unreal are fine, but they're typically used for like block out. They're not, I would recommend doing something like ZBrush or Blender or Cinema 4D or Maya for more advanced modeling things. But let's say we wanted to make a seamless backdrop. So I'll go ahead and select a rectangle. I'll make this 1,000 by 1,000, and we can see here that's going to try and add it to our scene. It's kind of freaking out because it's basically just adding this rectangle on top of any piece of geometry where we click. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Click that, and then we'll see this little menu in the lower left-hand corner. We can go ahead and zero this out, and then hit accept. So now we have a rectangle. It's kind of freaking out. I'll hit the W key and bring it up just a little bit so it stops freaking out on us. So now we have this rectangle, and we have the ability to do some modeling to it. So just to quickly demonstrate this modeling mode, what you can do is go to, I don't do this all that much. You're going to go to Model and then Polygroup Edit. And under Polygroup Edit, you'll have the ability to adjust either vertices or edges or polygons based on your selection. So first thing what I'm going to do is select this edge, and then we have our actions over here under the modeling, and we're going to hit Extrude. And then if we go ahead and drag this up, we can go ahead and see that we have this extrusion for our plane right there, which is cool. Let's go ahead and hit accept action, and then we're going to select this edge, and then under the face edits, while it's a little, oh, maybe we can bevel right here. You could either bevel with the poly face edits or the edge edits, but I'll hit bevel right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and drag this up by, I don't know, like 5,000, and then, oh, way too much. Let's say 1,000. Too much. 500. 200. Cool. So now we have this kind of beveled surface, but we need to make sure we add more subdivision. So I'll just click and drag until we have a lot more smooth of a seam right there. I'll set this to like 32, so it's going to be nice and smooth. And now we have kind of a seamless backdrop. But there's a problem. We'll hit accept action. It's doing a little funky thing. I'll go ahead and accept that, and let's go ahead and add a material to that. So I know I added a ton of materials to this project. I hope this doesn't feel super overwhelming, so if you have questions, do let me know. But we'll just find a very basic material. Let's just say this reflective white right here and drop this on, and now we have this white material. But there's this weird line happening on this geometry. Now the reason why is because the normals, the more advanced 3D things, it's not doing a great job. But fortunately, under the modeling mode, there's a bunch of things that you can address and fix, such as the attributes, normals, and we can go ahead and recalculate our normals. So we can see here now that's giving us a nice seamless backdrop right here. And this is all the things that you can do inside the modeling mode of Unreal. So I know this one does get a little hairy, and I did kind of blow through this a little quickly, but what I really am trying to show you is that under the top left-hand corner menu, you're going to have so many different modes that you're going to be working with if you're trying to do more advanced things on Unreal. This is where you're going to find your animation tools, your modeling tools, mesh painting tools, fracturing, etc. 90% of the time for the work I do, especially in the commercial space, I'm in the selection mode, but if you're doing more advanced things, you may need to go into other modes. So that being said, that is the other modes, and that is the basic of the Unreal Engine UI getting started in Unreal Engine 5.6. So in the next chapter, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about building a very basic scene and understanding how to maybe set up some materials, maybe set up some lighting to actually create a rendered shot. So I'll see you in the next chapter, and thank you very much for watching this one. Until next time, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight makes a difference. Bye.